Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit dyingdollar.com to request your free gold and silver guide. That's dyingdollar.com.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Let me talk to John Solomon. John, let me read this to you. This is Trump's Truth Social. It's on Fox News the last hour. I've talked about it with guests as well. Iran's military is a complete and total mess, blah, blah, blah. Much of it, like their Navy and Air Force, doesn't even exist. I don't care. They've been completely defeated. No, they haven't. Iran is all talk and no action. That's not true. The bully of the Middle East is dead. Not true either. They've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they'll have to pay the price. John, nobody loves this guy more than me. Nobody. I adore him. And I think the feeling is mutual with me and Trump. But this is nonsense. You've been on this show a bunch of times now. And I go back to that Tuesday night 6 weeks ago where Trump promised to light up the sky, and they didn't do it. He said, we'll give him a little more time. I don't want to hear about Scott Bessent. I don't care. I don't want to hear about how we're strangling them financially. I don't care because they don't care. Their people can die of starvation. They don't care. It is time for President Trump to do what he's been threatening to do time and time again, and finally just finish these guys off. John Solomon, your thoughts?
I think he's finally hit that button. I think last night the proportional attack was a warm-up to something much larger, and I think the proportional attack was designed to see, hey, Iran, are you going to take this one or are you going to respond? They responded a little bit this morning. They don't have a lot to respond with, but they still have menacing weapons. I think Trump is going to unleash hell on them over the next several days. And really, I think what the assessment is inside the Trump administration is that the civilian leadership probably would make a deal, but the IRGC simply won't. So I wouldn't be surprised if he thinned out the IRGC by tens of thousands. I think you'll see some massive hits on IRGC compounds. Some of these cowards, these IRGC cowards, they've moved up to the Afghan border so they can go flee and go hang out with the Taliban when they get roosted from their country. I think Trump knows where they are. I think he hits them hard over the next several days and thins out the primary opposition to making a deal right now. The intelligence that we get from my reporting is that the civilian leadership seems to want to make a deal, rhetoric aside. They're making constructive offers, but the IRGC just continues to attack. And I think Donald Trump's going to show them, you think you got something left? Take this. And I think you may see some non-conventional warfare. You may see some space-based laser weapons deployed for the first time. But if I'm an IRGC commander, I think your next 4 or 5 days could be pretty ugly, assuming the president hits the go button. And I think this morning's announcement is a pretty clear thing that the president's patience is over, and now fury is about to follow.
Is it fair to assume, though, John, and I know President Trump is a good guy. He's got a big heart. He doesn't want to kill anybody. He really doesn't. Now, Soleimani's a different story, obviously, but isn't it fair to assume, though, that if he does what you're talking about, which I want him to do, that there will be some pretty meaningful Iranian civilian deaths over the next couple of days?
There could be. A lot of the IRGC are in fortified bunkers away from the city. It's hard to build a fortified bunker in the city because you got, transit and roads that go over it. So a lot of the IRGC are they're not stashed in civilian areas. We've got plenty of smart bombs that are pretty good precision, but I think the IRGC are in these deep compounds way below the earth in an area far from the urban area so that you can literally get down and be bunkered. And even our bunker busters will have a hard time getting through on the first rounds. You may have to make 2 or 3 bunker buster rounds to really collapse them in. But I think that's where they are. The original strikes, when you go back to February, those are precision strikes right in downtown Tehran in some cases. A lot of the IRGC masses, the 10, 20,000 groups of battalions, they're out in fortified bunkers away from the civilian leadership right now because that's the only way you can build something that deep and strong. And so I think civilian casualties may be a little less. I mean, there are always civilian casualties in a war. It's the cost of war, sadly, and I know the president doesn't want any. But I think you're going to see some pretty significant strikes that go at the large and mass group. If you can thin out the IRGC, I think the current thinking in the CIA is that thinning them out could potentially lead to a deal. We'll see. If not, they'll just go all the way and conquer this entire regime until the people can overtake the country. I do think the president's moving in that direction.
You should. And I've got buddies they're in the Pentagon. They're there. Yeah. And they've been telling me that these bunker buster bombs, and John, you are clearly brilliant. I love you. I'm so impressed that these bunker buster bombs will not get the job done every time.
That's right.
And it's just a matter of time. We're going to have to put boots on the ground, send our kids in there to get to some of these people, even the uranium at some point. What are the odds of that now?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that's why I mentioned the space-based laser weapons. You can hit a compound and expose it with a bunker buster bomb, and then you can drop some laser in there to really penetrate. Then you can drop another bunker buster bomb. I think you might see some new warfare, unlike anything that America has ever unleashed. And I think we'll see. We'll see if they put that together. But the combination of space laser weapons, bunker busters, and then returning to bunker busters could collapse these or melt these compounds down to a point where no one can survive inside. And I do think that that's probably what we're looking at. I think last night there were some pretty precision strikes that caused some pretty big casualties. I'm hearing that some of the IRGC commanders were killed yesterday. That's a good thing for our American perspective. But I think you're right. They're hunkered down. They think they're hunkered down, but they've never faced weaponry that America has held in reserve for a long time. So I think it's possible the president could deploy some new types of weapons, some new types of strategies. I don't think we'll see boots on the ground immediately. But I wouldn't be surprised if we thinned out the IRGC, that a special operations team went in and got that uranium. It's about a 4 to 5 day mission, so you're going to have to hold the ground, and that's why I think thinning out the IRGC and its military there. One of the things that we've heard is that some of the traditional military people are leaving now, and some of the IRGC support staff are leaving because they literally can't feed their families. So there are defections going on right now. Which is a sign that the economic pressure has had some impact. And but at the same time, I think there's no other way than to, from the people I talk to, it is going to be a very hard-hit military that's going to be required to make a significant impact on these peace negotiations. I don't see boots on the ground in a large way. I do think some surgical boots at some point, surgical strikes with our Navy SEALs and Special Forces probably likely.
400 to 500 strikes a day we may see. So, John, I don't know if you know this, but I am, I've been invited to speak at the second annual JNS.org International Policy Summit. It's a 3-day event. We did it last year. Yeah, it's beautiful. Waldorf Astoria in Jerusalem. It starts off Sunday night with Bibi and Huckabee, and then Tuesday night's the last night of speakers. It's me, it's Mark Levin. It's a huge honor. I did it last year. I'm doing it again this year, but I am set to go, my 5th trip back to Israel since 2023. I'm set to go a week from tomorrow. But if President Trump does what you and I both think he's going to do, is it fair to assume that my trip to Israel next week may be postponed?
I think that's a possibility because Israel will be the natural recipient of any Iranian aggression that's left. The Iranians really can't reach anything far now. Their long-range missiles and mid-range missiles are pretty well.
By the way, I'm glad you said that. That's why when people get mad at Bibi, like I always say on the air, John, Cincinnati's not in danger. Brooklyn and Oregon is not in danger. We piss off the Iranians, and people are going to die in Tel Aviv tomorrow.
That's right. That's exactly and that's all that the Iranians have left. I think there is. In this pause, and I think one of the things that maybe wasn't put into the equation on this pause is that we needed to resupply our missile batteries. We went through an awful lot of defensive missiles protecting all of our allies in the region. So the pause may have had less to do with Donald Trump being patient with Iran. I don't think he's ever really thought that Iran was a good actor. It may have been to give our defense establishment the ability to get another 10,000 Patriot missiles and Tomahawk missiles resupplied for round 2. I don't think that gets mentioned enough, but you saw those classified leaks a couple of weeks ago that we were a little depleted. My reporting indicates that's true. I think we're resupplied now in a good way. And so some of the possum here may have been less about tolerating Iran's bad behavior and more about allowing our defense establishment to recalibrate our weaponry so that in a second round we could protect everybody from Israel to Qatar and UAE and all of our allies that are now fully aligned with us. And so I think that may have been a part of the calculus. That 6-8 week pause may have been about resupplying more than anything. But I do think now you have a sense that the president has all the assets he needs to really put a licking on Iran. I think if Iran thought they were hit first hard the last time, this one's going to be much more painful.
I can live with that. Final, I know you got to run. Final 60 seconds. When can Americans expect to see Fox News break in with a whole bunch of explosions all over Iran? How quickly?
I think in the next 48 hours, based on the president's comments this morning. But the element of surprise is often our best element. We've head faked Iran many times, including last summer where they thought they were looking for the bombers in a different direction. They came in a different way. So there's always a game of psyops and an element of surprise. But based on the president's comments, I assume this is imminent and that sometime in the next 48 hours, some very serious armaments are going to start flying.
John Solomon, I love you. I really do. Give my best to your family. You're terrific. Thank you.
We listen to you every day. Thanks so much.
Thanks, John. I do love that guy. He's great.